Mik'd Up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground, I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's doing the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Chico can practice today. And I was like, I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You're more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her and smelled.
Whoa. What was that?
Time for the show.
I never want to eat
Oh, wow.
You had the circus or something.
I'm late. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Thanks for the intro to me, to intro the show. Good evening, Bruce Buffer. Lloyd, a.k.a. Bruce Buffer. Whoa, there's a little echo.
What was that?
I don't know. That's all it's you. Bruce Buffer, overshot right there. But welcome back to Mik'd Up. Good evening.
I'm transitioning.
Today is... Oh, don't say that.
From
Today is
producer.
Wednesday, April 26th. It is Jay Johnson Wednesdays. We have a great, huge show. It is the eve of NFL Draft Day. We're going to have a little bit of the NFL Draft talk. But before that, we have Jay Johnson coming on the show at 6:10-ish, maybe 6:15, depending on when he gets in here. We are going to talk about this past weekend. They got their first sweep of the season. We're going to talk about the game last night. We're also going to talk about the game amongst ourselves after the Jay Johnson interview, because there's a lot of things I want to touch on. I also want to tell everybody to relax. I'm going to do the whole Aaron Rodgers thing because R-E-A-L-A-X, right? R-E-L-A. Oh, what did I say?
R-E-A.
Oh, R-E-A, my bad.
We can't cut that. That's definitely
R-E-L-A-X.
live, baby.
That was my bad. But
Didn't come here on academic scholarship, folks.
Yeah. Midweek games happen. This point in the year, the guys get a little tired, right? Not of playing, but you're right in the middle of your SEC schedule. You're going through the gauntlet. You just got a huge sweep on the road. Sometimes these midweek games on Tuesday are kind of hard to get up for, right? That's just part of it. You get used to playing a certain level of competition. That happens. In 2009, did we lose?
We did. And listen.
Who did we lose to?
We lost to this Nichols team, yeah.
Yeah. They beat us, right? At home.
Yeah, they did.
Same type of thing, right? We lost to UL that year as well at home. So
the thing of it is you got to understand, it's not really an excuse. You just have to understand it's very, very hard to, in a perfect world, yes, you want to, but it's very, very, very hard to match the same intensity that Nichols is coming in here with at this point in their season than you have at this point.
They threw starters. They did everything they could do to win the game. They're fighting for a position in the postseason. This is a big win for them, right?
Their RPI.
There was more reward than risk for them. LSU, there really wasn't any upside to this game. It was just another game. You go, one thing that happened, Thatcher Hurd threw really well. That was the best outing he's had in a long time. That looks good moving forward. Maybe he's in the bullpen later on as a power righty, because that's the one thing, and we'll talk about this, that's the one thing that I am nervous about is not necessarily the depth of the bullpen, but we don't have a power righty. We talked a little bit about this on Monday with Big Ben McDonald. We'll get in there. There's other SEC midweek losses throughout the course of this week. Auburn lost to Troy. A&M lost to Sam Houston, who's actually pretty good. And Arkansas lost to Missouri State. It happens. It's part of it. That's just the game of baseball. Last night was the epitome of quote-unquote baseball, right? I mean, Nicholl State played the best baseball they could have ever played in their entire life. I mean, they'll never have a game like that defensively again. That's just the way it works.
Hats off to the effort they played.
Hats off, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Jay about all of that. We're going to talk to him about this weekend. Alabama, sneaky good team. We're going to get into that. LSU just got another commitment from four-star tight end. What's his name? Jared? Trey'Dez Green.
From East Feliciana, yes.
East Feliciana. Not West East, just East.
That's the slander.
East Feliciana.
East Feliciana, four-star tight end. He's also a very elite basketball player. He's going to do both or try to do both here at LSU. He is extremely athletic. He doesn't have the normal tight end build. Seems like he's kind of one of those guys that can either bulk up, but it seems like he's going to be like split out a little bit and use his athleticism. Big goal line guy, big guy that you can get over the middle of the field. Huge get. Obviously, LSU is not known for getting tight ends. Now they are. That is part of what Brian Kelly wants to do. So we get him brought in. Chase Shores got announced that he's having Tommy John surgery. That has probably been, he had it last week.
Speculated.
Yeah, people knew it was going to happen, but it's not right to say it without them coming out and confirming that. But the big news today is really talking to LSU baseball. Obviously, it's Jay Johnson Wednesdays, and then New Orleans Saints football. Football always seems to just weasel its way back into the conversations. Mel Kiper, our friend, who I feel like doesn't ever have his mock drafts ever anywhere close to being right. His latest mock draft has 4 quarterbacks in the first 4 picks. It's pretty ridiculous. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think I heard somewhere
I can
earlier.
see maybe the first 2.
I think I heard somewhere earlier that that's happened like one time in the history of the draft, and I don't think it's happening again.
I don't think that's going to happen this year.
Don't ask me who.
I will say this: Will Levis, the odds of him being the first overall pick was like plus
4,000 to plus 400.
Yep.
And that's because he was motor mouthing around Carolina or Kentucky, saying that he was going to be the first overall pick, and he heard it from the Carolina Panthers. Hey, buddy. Ever heard of a smoke screen? And
maybe he's doing that. Maybe he's doing it because maybe other people think that may happen, and who knows?
4D chess.
What route do you think Carolina goes?
I think the route they should go is Bryce Young. If you want to say, hey, we have some pieces in place, we want to build our team around this guy, I think he's the guy. I don't think that you go. Now, you have the high upside, and both Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, both are super talented. I think Anthony Richardson has the highest upside of anybody, right? You did have Cam Newton there. He has that ability. Maybe you go there. I don't think that they are positioned to take a risk on a guy that they're not sure about right now, right? I think that the top 2 quarterbacks, I think in my mind, are Bryce Young and Caleb Stroud. CJ Stroud. You did. I said it as I looked at you because you always do Caleb Stroud and
no, I do Caleb Young.
Caleb Young. That's what you do.
CJ I've gotten Stroud, off that train lately. I'm pretty proud of myself.
CJ Stroud is, I think, the second best quarterback. So I don't think you can go wrong if you're Carolina with both of those guys. Obviously, we're going to talk about what the Saints are going to do. They are back into the draft, but they have 8 picks. If you watch Mickey Loomis's interview, he says they have 8 picks right now, which means they probably are thinking like the Saints have traded up more than any team
Hotline bling right
in
now.
The draft, right?
Phone's working.
They have their formula that they use in
Breaking
the draft,
news.
And they do a really good job of drafting. They've done a really good job drafting in the past, and so who knows? I would not be shocked if you saw them move up. They're not going to move up just to move up. Obviously, they're going to move up if if they have a guy that they really believe in, in those top 50. I don't think they're going to get inside the top 10. Maybe. I think top 15 is reasonable.
What would they trade up for?
That's what I'm saying. A defensive tackle, obviously. They're looking for DT, offensive lineman, and
Jalen Carter?
Probably like a linebacker-ish spot.
I would imagine they got someone already like straight up tabbed right now, and that's who they are targeting.
Backfield maybe, but they're not going to trade up for a running back.
Unless there was someone who will slide big in the top 10. I think they kind of have that guy circled already, and if they're gonna do it, that's who they want to do it for. Whoever that guy is.
I'm glad that the draft's coming up because I do kind of miss football a little bit. I love talking baseball. We're gonna continue to talk baseball through the summer because we are gonna make a concerted effort to talk more about Major League Baseball. We're gonna do more baseball breakdowns than just recapping games after LSU because, look, the reality of it is we only have 2 hours on the show. It's hard.
We could go longer.
To really go. Well, it's nighttime, dude. It's long days. Long days.
I got nothing on the docket.
Yeah, okay, you don't. Okay? Other people got a lot of stuff going on. But as LSU baseball starts to wind down and once the season goes, we're going to be able to break down more of these baseball plays and things that happen, which is what we're going to try to do today, right? We have Friday. The game on Friday is at 7 o'clock. And so we're going to be able to preview the Alabama series in depth on Friday. Today we're going to talk to Jay in about 4 minutes about what happened over the weekend a little bit, what happened last night. But what me and Jay want to do is we want to talk about some of the plays that were a little funky, right? Last night, Nicholl's, had a horseshoe up their ass, and they were literally it was unbelievable the amount of plays they made. And then there were some weird things that happened that you're not used to happening in a game, and sometimes in the heat of the moment, people kind of get not panic, but don't really think oh, I don't have to go and chase after this guy. He's already out. Let me just stay here, right? In the moment you go, it's like when people are there's an instance last year or maybe 2 years ago when there was a guy, I think it was Baez. Baez grounded out to first base, and they went to go.
I think this was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and Luke Voigt did it.
Yeah, he was a Cub whenever he did this.
Yeah.
I think this was 2 years ago.
He went to go and tag Baez, and Baez did what he's supposed to do and went backwards to allow the guy to move on to the next base. So he chases him all the way, realizes oh, I'm already back at the plate. Let me figure this out. Tries it's too late because the guy scores, and then Baez gets to first base.
Well, no. Not only does he get to first base, they have a wild throw.
Yeah, right.
And then he ends up at third.
Right, and so it was a weird, funky play that if you ask Luke Voigt, hey, what are you supposed to do? He knows what he's supposed to do, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, some of those things happen. That's just part of the game. That's part of baseball, and those things you don't practice. You don't practice a guy doing that. Now, if that ever happened again in his career, he would know what to do. He just wouldn't panic. So things like that happen. That's what makes baseball so beautiful. That's what makes it so great. That's what makes it so tough. That's what happens. That's what makes baseball.
Well, the sense of that there's there's just so many scenarios of what can happen all the time, and which would any coach or any team love to be completely perfect of playing around, playing through scenarios of what may happen on each out in their head before. The realism of it is that through the course of a year, there is going to be situations and spots and things that come up where stuff like that happens, and you saw a couple of them last night, honestly.
No doubt. And we're going to talk to Jay about that. I think Jay is in the on-deck circle right now, so we're going to take a 30-second break and get Jay situated. We'll be right back. You're watching Mik'd Up. We'll be back to you in 30 seconds.
Dad.
Oh, you have the sticker on your head.
Well, that's because we're brought to you by EFCO.
There you go. Who's
single-
EFCO?
EFCO
Development. There we go.
EFCO
Keep
Development.
going. EFCO Development is a civil construction company based out of Lafayette, Louisiana. They specialize in
Math waved bye-bye to me long ago, so I never had a chance to work there.
You what?
Math, engineering and all of that such. So, the smarter people.
So civil engineering, let me explain to you how this works. The civil engineering is more about the earthwork and the ground, and you prep the land before you build vertically. And I don't know how much mathematics that they are actually doing.
Maybe Jay can tell us.
In that spot. So I don't think the math excuse to you is a thing. But EFCO Development, our friends. That's why you have the sticker on your forehead. I'm sure your friend, Tyler Leday. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We are joined now on Jay Johnson Wednesday from the head ball coach, fresh off a sweep at Ole Miss. Baseball happens, and last night against Nicholl State, I would consider that, I would chalk that up as to baseball, the game of baseball. That's why you've never seen an undefeated baseball team in college or the big leagues. It just happens. Funky things happen. We're joined now with Jay Johnson. Coach, I appreciate you coming back on the show. As always, I look forward to these Wednesdays. Coming off a huge sweep, obviously, at Ole Miss. Y'all are the only SEC team that has not lost a series. You play a midweek game. Obviously, baseball just kind of happens sometimes. Some things get funky. Seemed like they had a little horseshoe up there in their pants, and they made every play possible. Y'all played well. What is the feelings after the game last night?
Yeah, I think move forward. Like, we have to master the art of moving forward, and this is not a team that needs to be yelled at. I would consider last night a little bit of a clunker. Like, take nothing away from Nichols. They played great defense. Maybe we haven't played our best every game, but we've been pretty consistent in our approach and our effort, and did not do some things very well last night offensively or from the mound, and they deserve to win, and that's how baseball goes. It's not always a team with the best players, it's the team that plays the best. So it's really just get back focused on the play and get ready to roll for a big weekend this weekend.
Thatcher started the game. He threw 4 innings. This is probably the best Thatcher has looked, at least in my eyes, in a long time. How encouraging was it to see him go on the mound and have a rebound like he did last night?
Yeah, very encouraging. He's definitely got the ability. I mean, if you saw it last night, the fastball 94 to 96, snapped off some good breaking balls, tried to around the zone, and limited damage. And I think that's maybe been the trouble spot for him is when something goes bad, that just kind of deadlines it. He definitely did that last night. Been working hard and felt like we were going to get a good performance, which is why I started him. And we certainly did. So proud of him and think it's something that he can build on, and it's definitely going to help our team.
Is he available this weekend to come out the pen, or if anything? I don't know how many pitches he threw, but I'd assume that he would be.
Yeah, he threw 70. You have to kind of designate your 27-man roster going into Friday. So it's kind of on my list to see where he's at Friday, right, relative to being able to help us on. Probably not Friday, but potentially on Saturday or Sunday. And it's the expectation that he'd be able to help us out and be up there.
Okay. Coach, as the game kept going, now look, this is all D1 players. They can play the game. They have good players there as well. As the game kept going, was it kind of surprising to you how many, I'd say, above average plays they continued to make on defense over and over and over again?
Yes, and the speed and the athleticism is kind of their identity and strength as a team, and that definitely helps you on the defensive side of the ball. And, they're in first place in the Southland for a reason, and you saw that last night. I think their pitchers have a good idea they threw a lot of their weekend guys, albeit for an inning at a time, but you stack that up and get a good pitching performance. And on defense, I don't know that they could have played any better. I think it was the second inning. We had first and second, 2 outs, and Ethan Fry hit a scorcher, and the left fielder, dove and made the play in left field. So the fielder dove and caught one up against the top of the wall. It probably would have been a leadoff triple if he doesn't make the play. So they just took multiple extra base hits away, and then obviously the play at the end of the game was great by the shortstop. So, yeah, we needed to do some things better. There's a few things in that game that were really disappointing from my chair that we'll make sure we clean up. But I think you got to give more of the credit to the player last night.
Before we talk about Alabama, I kind of want to go backwards a little bit. I know you don't want to look too much in the past, but y'all played this weekend on the road at Ole Miss. You got the first sweep of the season. You are the only team in the SEC that has not lost a series. I think you're one of the few teams in the country that haven't lost back-to-back games all year. To me, that's a sign of a very resilient team. What does that show you about the makeup of this team and, how this team is really built?
Yeah, I think it means we have good players that care a lot.
Yeah.
Is what I think it shows. And it's another reason why, knowing your team and knowing your people is really important. You know, I mean, and maybe the old Jay Johnson might have lost his freaking mind after last night and let him. And I didn't do that. I mean, I basically took responsibility that we didn't play better, or we're prepared to play better with the team. And the trade-off is we're going to come out tomorrow and get really prepared and do the things that we need to do to play our best this weekend. And you get to do that with pitchers that are throwing the ball really well. And, you know, we're going to need to be good because we're playing a really, really good opponent. So I think the mindset of the team is fine. I've said this before. If you cannot get behind these guys and how they approach things, then I don't know what to tell you, because they've been about as consistent as you could ask for. And I expect they'll be ready to go this weekend.
You mentioned we mentioned the makeup, and you talk about the guys you can't get behind the guys on the team. One of the guys who had the heroics on Sunday game, right? He had the go-ahead 3-run home run in the 9th inning. He had a lot of playing time last year. He's had a lot of playing time in his career. He's put up some really good numbers. He has found his playing time kind of diminished based off the guys you have in the lineup in the stacked team. But he's been in the dugout. He's been a team guy. He's done all the work, and he comes out after one of the biggest moments of his career and says, "I'm having the most fun I've ever had on the baseball field," and he's not really playing that much. Like, what does that say, one, about him, and how proud are you of him to be able to come through in that moment?
Yeah, big time. I'm a big fan of Hayden, and I really am not surprised. I felt like we were going to need him at some point. He has enough talent to be a great player, and you know, at least since I've been here, much like the story of a lot of our guys that has really struggled with injuries. And this year on this team, with the talent, you can get behind the 8-ball real fast if you're not available to play. And you know, you essentially missed the entire fall. Obviously, Brady has caught great, hit great. Alex has really improved on the offensive side. We know he's a good defensive catcher. So the opportunities were kind of limited. But during that time, I mean, attitude phenomenal, but he continued to improve. Like, I mean, I watched every swing and batting practice every single day and could see some things coming along, and started to get engaged a little bit more with some pitch hits over the last couple of weeks, and felt like it was a good time to give him a start on Saturday, and he performed great, caught great. Ty Floyd's best outing probably of the year.
Right.
And obviously came through a big 3-run run and did exactly what he needed to do to have success in that at-bat. I mean, part of getting to the homer was the pitches he didn't swing at early in that at-bat. And just maturity, and super proud of him. He's going to get more opportunities, which is good for him, good for our team.
Coach, you talk about coming out tomorrow and kind of getting after it to get ready for the weekend. At this point of the year, before you kind of really hit the stretch run, if there's any secrets that you can kind of give away, what is it that maybe you do from a coaching standpoint that kind of keeps things fresh and kind of keeps guys going and at this point of the year?
Because I'll tell you, as a player, at the end of the year when you're in the SEC, these midweek games are a little hard as a player to get up. And I know everybody needs to get up, but that's just the reality of it. Everybody is a normal human being, and sometimes it's hard to get motivated.
Good question. And, you know, it's something I took a lot of pride in really up until the last 2 weeks, as we've been pretty awesome in midweek games through a year and a half. And it just, we were not in a very good position against Louisiana Lafayette last Tuesday. We emptied the tank against Kentucky to make sure we won that series, which was really important. I thought we were in a better position last night coming out of the weekend because we got better starting pitching. We just didn't execute enough. You know, as far as moving forward, the players know we'll be prepared, that we'll give them the really good plan for success. I think this last series at Ole Miss, both from the mound and from the plate, we executed on Friday and Saturday exactly what we wanted to do, and it led to really good, convincing wins. And on the road, in the league, which was great. And then we just kind of gutted that third one out, where I don't know if we actually played great, but they gave it everything they had to get us to the top. So it's about having a good plan. There's definitely a mental and physical load management time of year that is super important, that you guys know about, playing at a high level. And I'm trying to be very aware of that. I'll be honest, the hard-nosed coach in me always wants to push and get out and do drills and have video sessions and all of those types of things.
Right.
I think where we're at right now is address the things that we need to address, probably more from a mental side and a teaching side than an actual rep side. the players are very aware of what they need to do to prepare, so we put that in front of them and then really try to manage their load. I mean, that's one of the reasons we left on Wednesday last week, is to get them a great night's sleep and get some rest and eat good and literally have 2 full days before we played. I'm glad we're back to Friday, Saturday, Sunday these next couple weeks, because it gives a chance to be off today and reset. We'll get a good workout in tomorrow, lay out the plan, and then get prepared and then empty the tank. And then, as you said, Tuesday games are still there, and so you got to get yourself ready to play, and we'll do a better job of that next week.
Coach, you just mentioned, as the maturation of your career is going, understanding, I guess, in a sense that there is a little bit of a let me back off the pedal and do things a little differently right now. With the guys you have in place as the leaders of this squad, do you feel that they are able to, one, understand where they need to be as players and get the other guys, the younger guys, on board to do what they need to do to prepare themselves to play weekend in, and obviously as you go in to finish out the midweek schedule as well?
Yeah, they are great at that. And like I said, 40 games in, I don't have an effort issue on our team. I don't have a level issue on our team at all. I did speak with one of them today, and they actually came in, and this just tells you like how on it they are. Like, it's like, coach, we could have done more, last minute to get our peers, so to speak, ready to go. And we'll make sure we do that from this point forward. And that's taking ownership. We talk about all the time, you don't want to have expensive experience of losing a game or anything of that nature. But, opponent played really good. Opponent was really motivated to play well. And we had a couple guys not play that normally play. And then we had a chance, and we didn't execute at the end of the game, both on the defensive side of it in the 9th inning, or pitching side of it in the 9th inning, and on the offensive side of it. We put ourselves in position to win the game, and you never want it to come at the expense of losing. But I have a saying, I never want our team to waste a failure. So just having those kind of conversations already makes me feel even stronger about leadership, and those guys have a good pulse on it, and they'll help me get everybody ready to roll as we're going down the stretch here.
You spoke about the rotation last week, and obviously they were excellent. Probably the best, I think, that it's been all year, as far as all 3 starters get going deep in the games. All 3 threw into the 6th. You know what you can get out of Skeens. Ty Floyd went into the 9th. Christian Little threw into the 6th. That's what you can ask for out of your starting pitching. Now, obviously, the back end of the bullpen, if there were question marks from other people outside of the program, that would be it. You're getting some guys healthy. You have a lot of lefties. I feel like you're pretty set left-handed wides out the pen. Righties, you've had some injuries go down. That's a part of sports. How are you going to combat those injuries, right? Because you've lost a lot of power, swing and miss stuff with these injuries, and now you're trying to have to kind of go into last year's formula of mixing and matching. What's the plan going forward, at least on the right, with the righties coming out of the bullpen?
Yeah, I think the good news is the number of guys that we have, amazingly, is still pretty strong.
Right.
Like there's 12 guys that I feel like we can put in the game. Now, some of those guys, it might mean when we're behind, like that's their role. You know what I mean? But no, that's part of it. I mean, like the Chase Shores, obviously.
Yep.
In my opinion, it's as close to Paul Skeens as there is in college baseball right now. So that's a big blow, just because not everybody knew his name yet.
Yeah.
But you think about the beginning of the SEC, we entrusted him at Texas A&M in the closest game against them. Arkansas in that extra inning game. Tennessee, the night he got hurt, was electric.
Yeah.
And you can't throw the ball better than that. So that's a tough loss. Same thing with Garrett Edwards, all of that. So I like the way that Gavin Guidry has been poised and executed. I fully trust him as an out pitch. Bryce was on the mound last night, but he's got an out pitch. His command of himself and control has been much better. It's good to see Thatcher execute last night, and it's not a stuff issue with him, as we saw last night. The fastball split 94 to 96 with a good breaker. So I think we can make it work.
Yep.
That said, though, the matching up thing becomes really, really important. And I found ourselves on Sunday in that game where there wasn't necessarily the right answer for every hitter. It was like, you got a right answer, then you got to find a way to get through the next hitter to get back to the answer. And that's part of baseball. And that's part of baseball see when you're playing really, really good teams. So we're on that, and I promise you that the detail that's going into making the ball is pretty extreme at this point in time.
I mean,
make Thatcher get a haircut.
I can imagine.
He looked good.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Coach, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was trying to figure out who he was. I missed the start of the game, and I'm like, I didn't pay attention to his number all year. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, who in the hell is pitching right now? I don't know who this is, and I had to figure it out.
With generic number one.
With Thatcher throwing the way he threw last week, and obviously with some of the injuries in the bullpen with the righties, is it possible to see him maybe be that power arm in the back end of the bullpen at some point in the season?
Yeah, it's possible. He did leave a little bit last year. Came out of the pen at times last year, so he's used to doing it. Definitely has the stuff to do it. We had him up in the bullpen on Sunday. Everybody was up in the bullpen on Sunday at some point. But yeah, that's going to be part of the equation. Yeah. And then on Tuesday, we have to get strikes, and we have to just get execution, and our offense has to show up and score. And that's part of the DNA of our team, and it's why we haven't lost very much, is because we scored a lot. And credit Nicholl's defense again. Their defense, they might have saved 7 runs last night. Right. You know, and that's the difference in them winning the ball game, and a couple other mistakes. And so we got to clean those up. We got to find those pieces at the back of the game. Starters continue to do their job, and there's a path. It may not look exactly like it did at the beginning of the season, but there's a path for us to win and be successful. And so each weekend it's about following that.
Tommy White, is there any chance that he's available at any capacity this coming weekend?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so for sure.
Is it more of a precaution thing, or is it just
well, I don't think I wouldn't have felt good about playing him yesterday, but Friday is not Tuesday, and so you know we what's that?
It's a breaking news.
Sometimes Lloyd thinks Friday is Tuesday. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't help him with that. No, I mean, trust me, like, you know, unfortunately you have to make some tough decisions, but I mean, you're talking about one of the best clutch hitters in college baseball, one of the best hitters, period, and has played great for us, and you know, managing it down the stretch is super important. I think he's tough enough to where if he could have played last night, he would have, but getting him to the point where he can play and play effectively on Friday, we probably would have gone backwards if we put him out there last night. So, you know, trust me, I try to treat every game like the Super Bowl. Every game's a playoff game. Any kind of thought that we didn't think it was important, so we didn't play those guys is dead wrong. We did it in the best interest of them and our team and what we're trying to accomplish.
Coach, you mentioned this weekend you play Alabama. Alabama, I feel like some people kind of overlooking them outside of the baseball world, really, not really paying attention. They're kind of a sneaky good team. They're 9-9 in conference. They're playing good baseball. They started the season ranked in the top 25. What are the challenges that they pose to y'all this weekend when they come here? I know you have a night game on Friday and a night game on Saturday. What are some of the issues that they bring to the table?
They're very experienced. It's almost the identical team that we played last year in Tuscaloosa, just a year older and a year better, and with a little bit of pitching. You know, I really like their lineup, and they're playing well, as you said. They won 5 of their last 6 SEC games, and at any time, if you win 5 out of 6 SEC games, you've got a legit team, and that's our entire league. So very experienced, playing with a lot of confidence. They have a great record. I think they're 30-12. You know, they played some tough series early. I think they opened at Florida. Can't really remember what the rest of their schedule was. And they played well the last 2 weeks. So veteran team. I think this could be a great series. I mean, I think it's an Omaha caliber team that we're playing this weekend. So really need the fans to get out here like they always do and kind of match that Tennessee, Arkansas, you know, energy we get out here.
Now, not based off of talent, not based off talent, but based off of where you guys are health-wise alone. Has there been a conversation about a premium or a emphasis on runs to be scored for you guys?
You know, we really haven't. We haven't changed a lot offensively, and I think by design. I mean, there's a standard of offensive baseball that we want to play. Getting leadoff guy on, super important. Having 3 quality bats in a row, super important. Winning the free base war, which essentially is walking and controlling the zone, slowing the game down and moving the ball forward with runners on base. We've done a pretty good job of that. We didn't do a good job of it last night. We had the bases loaded in the 9th inning, and we lost. And so we're upwards of over 75% of scoring runners from third with less than 2 outs. Our 2-out hitting is up there in the top 5 in the country. So we haven't really changed a whole lot. I think maybe an understanding, and if anything's been brought to light the last 2 Tuesdays, is we haven't scored as much as we were earlier on Tuesdays, and then that affects the flow of the game, who the other team decides to bring in from the mound, do they have a chance to go for it. Nicholl is good. They might win a championship, and we may play them in the first game of the NCAA tournament, to be honest with you. But that's a night those guys are going to remember for the rest of your life. And I don't want to hear it because I treat every game as like the Super Bowl, but it's like somebody was trying to tell me like everybody is you're getting everybody's best shot, and there's an element to that. But we've played good, and we've focused on ourselves, and when you do that, we've come out on top more often than not. And so I think we just need to continue to play that style and that brand of baseball.
So I know your time's limited. I know you have places to be. So I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna let you go. But this past weekend, the SEC, I think there was 4 or 5 sweeps within the conference. Right? You had teams that were in first place get swept. You had teams that people were kind of writing them off, sweep somebody else. It seems like it's going to come down. I feel like you thought this when it happened. I thought it wouldn't happen. Whenever they canceled that 3rd game against South Carolina, I was like, this game is going to come back at the end of the season, and you're going to look at the records, and you're like, this one game is going to make a difference one way or the other. And you're starting to see that, right? It's kind of starting to play out. Everybody's starting to beat everybody up. What's your take on the state of the SEC? Obviously, it's the best baseball conference out there, but just Georgia is beating teams, and they're at the bottom of the conference. Tennessee was supposed to be at the top. They're at the bottom. Now they're back in the middle. What's your take on the depth of the SEC?
Yeah, I think there's all 14 are NCAA tournament caliber teams. Now that won't happen. Right. There definitely should be 11. There'll probably be 10. So that gives you just the depth of the league. And really playing whoever's in first place is no different than playing whoever's in 12th place. I mean, we were playing the team that's in last place in the standings last weekend. I don't think there's another conference in the country that they wouldn't be better than 3rd in.
Right.
And that's I think this is the moon to the rest of college baseball right now. And I have good perspective on that from where I came from, which was another good college baseball conference, but it's not the same. It's not even close to this.
I'd have to agree. Coach, good luck this weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And as always, thank you so much for coming on. Looking forward to talking to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
See you.
I mean, SEC baseball's pretty good. But he didn't. He skimmed right over the South Carolina dropping the
Yeah, he's trying not to think about that.
yeah.
I respect it. He doesn't want to think about it.
When that happened, I said, "This is going to come back."
Yeah.
Because at the time, I didn't
think he was thinking.
At the time, I didn't think South Carolina was as real as they were playing. Right? I was like, "Oh, they're not that real." Then they go ahead and they beat Skeens, but it was like, "Oh, it's kind of a weird thing." It was asterisks. Skeens didn't get to finish the game. Then LSU comes back and wins that one. I felt very confident they were going to get the next win. The game got rained out. And then South Carolina just continues to play better and better and better. Now they're number 1 team in the East. It's like, well, it looks like it's going to be LSU and South Carolina at the end of the day, with one less win or one less game played. So you knew that game was going to come back to not haunt anyone, but come back and play.
The only good thing about it is that at this point, at least the game that you lost, they have the same amount of games lost, right? So assuming that they all were able to play the schedule out and no other games lost, you'll come down to the same record. It's just going to be, like you said, you didn't have that decider to see who actually would have been winner.
Right. All right, we're going to take a 30-second break. We're going to come back in on the other side, talk a little bit more LSU baseball, talk a little bit more about NFL draft, talk a little bit more about NBA playoffs, just the whole sports world. We're just going to just dabble in the whole thing.
Yeah,
but
we'll touch it.
The first thing we're going to do is talk more about baseball. You're watching Mik'd Up. We'll be back in 30 seconds. 723 Government Street. Everybody knows about their world famous steaks and their hot tamales, but what you may not know is that they're open for lunch every day from 11 to 2. Great people, great environment. Their lunch menu is fire. What's the best thing on the menu?
If you haven't tried it yet, you need to try the burger. Unbelievable. Best burger in town.
Best burger in town. If you're looking for lunch, 11 to 2 at Doe's Eat Place. Again, they're located on 3723 Government Street. Give them a shot. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. As always, Jay Johnson's beautiful interview. We enjoy it.
Beautiful man.
He's getting super comfortable with us, which we love. We appreciate. Going into the break, we talked about, the conference and how good the SEC is. What I want to talk about now on this side, going into the 7 o'clock hour, almost into the 7 o'clock hour, is I want to talk about last night, right? Because we talked on the beginning of the show, talked about how baseball is a weird sport and kind of like stuff just happens, right? Like there's a reason why teams have not gone undefeated in college baseball. There's a reason why teams haven't won 162 games. Professional baseball, just too many unknowns, too many factors go into winning a baseball game. You can do everything right and not get a hit, right? Last night was evident of that because you had at least 7 balls that probably should have been hits. That were not hits, that made a very above average plays defensively, or Nicholl did, and that was the difference in the game. And there's a couple plays defensively that were not made that probably should have been made. And then there was one real weird play that happened that allowed them to tie the game that people I know were a little upset about. Like, how do you not know, whatever. But in the heat of the moment, like we talked about before the show starts, sometimes you just forget or don't. Like, I need to get that guy out, so I'm going to go get that guy out and not think about, okay, he's already out. He never touched on plate. He's good. He's kind of conceded that.
And mind you, that happened. LSU got super fortunate. That happened after a pass ball happened to squirt into the dugout on the same time where a run would have scored had the ball not actually going into the dugout.
Right.
So, like, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff, a lot of baseball stuff. I mean, they had a couple balls off. They grabbed balls off the wall, diving catches. Obviously, the play that ended the game was an outstanding play by the shortstop. Let's focus on that one, right? Bases loaded, 1 out. Cade Beloso, who's been hot, hit another homer.
Yes, he did. Up to 8 now.
He is majoring in solo home runs.
Yep, he is. I thought about you when he hit that. He's up to bat. They're down 1 run. LSU's down 1 run.
Maneri would love you right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's get some boys on.
Now my computer's getting all weird. I have an update. I don't want to update right now. So, bases loaded, 1 out, bottom of the 9th, down 1 run. You have Cade Beloso, who's been hot at the plate. He hits the little blooper in kind of the no man's land of
Triangle.
Yep, triangle center field between second, short, and the center fielder. A ball that usually is going to get down, right? Doesn't matter. I mean, it's either going to get down, score 2 runs, and you win the game, or it's going to be caught, and hopefully you don't have a double play. Unfortunately, you had the double play. People saying that is a bad base running mistake. I get it. In a perfect world, you would rather that guy get off, because in that situation, we talked about it, that situation when the ball's up, you see it, and you see, okay, I'm reading it, so you're getting creeping off. And at some point, you got to make the decision if you think he's going to catch or not. And so he made the decision that he's going to go. He thinks it's going to get down. Instead, the guy makes an outstanding play and doubles him off at second base. Now, was he perfect? No. Was it a semi-mistake? Yes, probably. But I can't fault his aggression trying that, because he made a read. He thought that he read that those ball was going to get down. It wasn't like it was right at the guy. And he made the decision to go, and the guy made the play and got him out. Ideally, I would like for him not to go and go back to second, but I understand his thought process there.
So here's the thing. If you go back and watch the play, in my mind, where do you get a bigger lead at usually? First base or second base?
Second base.
Okay. So if I had to guess, his lead was probably bigger than that was at first base, which just so happened to be Dylan, right? If you go back and watch the play, Dylan played it about as perfect as you can play it.
Yep.
If I were doing this play right now, it would be secondary, ball off the bat. I'm going to keep shuffling as long as he's running away from me. So his back's to me. He's running away from me, and he's not slowing down. So if you're doing that perfectly, which if you watch Dylan, he pretty much did it perfectly, second base, you would be even more off the back. So if I had to guess, by the time he dove, caught it, and came down with it, you would be a good 3/4 of the way to third base already, which means you would now have to put your foot in the ground and sprint back to second.
Pitcher.
I personally think it would have still been a bang play, and if they played it perfectly, like they pretty much have been playing every ball all night, game probably still would have been over. Especially in that situation, because you do realize you are the winning run, so you are trying to score, and even if you played it perfectly, you could still be a little aggressive, thinking that if this ball gets down, I gotta score.
Right, and I would say the only mistake he made on that is assuming too early and taking
turned
off
his back
too early.
and he took
Right.
off.
Yeah.
Right, and he didn't give himself a chance to get back to second. But had he played it perfectly, I still think, because the ball's not hit very far and you're not expecting that, I still think there's a very, very, very high chance that he's still thrown out at second.
Yeah, and possibly, for sure. Now, obviously, they lost the game. They lost 2 midweek games in a row. They hadn't lost a midweek game all year. It happens. I think we lost 3 in 2009. Like, it's just part of it, right? Like, they are throwing their ace. They're throwing some of their weekend guys to try to win this game. It means more. I don't want to say it means more to them.
It means more to their schedule than it does to our schedule.
Yes, because this win is a huge. This is the best team that they're going to play on the schedule. Yeah. So this win means a lot for their postseason hopes.
For those of y'all who don't know what RPI is, it is a ranking that is basically not off of, I forget how they do it, like computerized, but when it comes down to the end of the year and it comes down to who's getting host spots, who's getting into the tournament, RPI is a huge number. And LSU has a very high RPI right now, and Nichols does not have as high as an RPI right now. So for Nichols, getting a win against a high RPI squad matters. Flip it reversely, if LSU would have beaten them, it wouldn't have done much for their RPI, and that's just the truth of it.
Right. It's just it wasn't a win that it just happens, right? And part of it that just happens.
And I'm not saying that the players are literally thinking about that on the field. I'm just saying when it comes down to it, that part is probably preached to that nickel squad on the way in, knowing that this is one would be great for us to get.
Yeah. And look,
you all did the same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Right.
100%.
Absolutely.
And they got swept.
This is one that would be great for us to get.
Yeah. And they got it, right? So they stole a win, which is fine. That's part of it. That happens. Look, I wouldn't be okay. I said this on Monday. If LSU moved out of the number 1 spot, I don't think the rankings matter. But if they move out of the number 1 spot, that's not the end all be all anyway, right?
Now, you don't want to be number 1 now.
Much like last week, if I told you they were going to go 3-1 on the week, and that one would have been a midweek loss, and you could sweep the week, I think you'd take that.
Absolutely, right? Now, this week is going to be tricky. We're not going to really preview much of the game right now. I'd like to wait until our Friday show to do that. But Alabama's playing really good baseball. Jay mentioned it. You know, they've won, I think, 5 of their last 6 SEC games, and or maybe 6 of the last 7. I forget what he said, but they're playing really good baseball. We can hope to see Tommy White back this weekend. Sounds like that. I think the biggest takeaway from this game was Thatcher Hurd for me, right? He looked a lot better. He looked a lot more confident. He was throwing strikes. He was locating his stuff. And I think that if our weekend rotation can pitch the same way they threw against Ole Miss, because let's not forget, Ole Miss may not have a good record in the SEC, but that's not because of their offense. Yeah. That's because of their pitching staff, right? They're offensively, they're really good. They hit homers. They drive guys in. They're a dangerous lineup. So the fact that our rotation pitched the way they pitched this past weekend is very encouraging moving forward, right? Because it wasn't like it was a bad offensive team. It was a really good offensive team, and they pitched well. If they can get that performance again, that can move Thatcher Hurd into the bullpen, and that could be that power righty that they are missing right now out of the bullpen to come in there and give you 2-3 innings possibly to close the game out. And I think, to me, it was nice to see him kind of have some more success and get some of that confidence back.
Yeah, I mean, he started the outing, and what I saw was still looked a little uncomfortable. And as the innings kept going and the outs kept accumulating, seemed like he got to a spot where he started hitting his stride and feeling good again, which could bode well coming for the weekend and honestly through the rest of the schedule. They have, exactly 16 games left? This is about the time where you kind of learn it as a player. Like if you're a hitter or if you're a pitcher right now, your numbers are, without you going on getting insanely hot or insanely cold, your numbers pretty much are what they're going to be. So you kind of drop the whatever in the back of your mind is me, and just literally lock into what it is that the task is at hand. And so if he can start hitting a stride right now, I think it would be huge for that pitching staff.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's not how you – if you have to be playing the best baseball towards the end of the year. And if he can do that, everybody's going to forget about the beginning of the season. Similar to kind of what Ty Floyd did last year.
Yeah.
Ty Floyd pitched his best baseball at the end of the year, and he kind of rolled over into this year. And same thing could be said for Thatcher. So, obviously Jay gave us a lot of answers. There's a lot more to talk about as far as baseball goes, but we're going to save a lot of that stuff for Friday. We want to give you something to talk about, something for us to talk about, something for you to tune into on Friday. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the NFL for right now, for a little bit, if that's okay.
But I was just going to – where do they go at catcher
What do you mean?
for LSU?
Milazzo's the starter right now. He's going to be the starter. I mean, that's where you go as the starting catcher. He's your starting catcher. Travinsky, obviously, wish he would have squeezed that, but it wasn't like he can hit, right? So, he's going to have his moments. He's going to be able to play. Milazzo's going to be your starting catcher until Brady Neal comes back, if he comes back. I don't know the severity. I don't know how long it's going to be. It seems like it's going to be a little bit longer.
Do we know what the injury is?
It's a non-baseball injury. So he heard it working out, I'd imagine. Or
yeah, I mean,
I don't really
that would
know
be
exactly
my excuse.
I really don't know exactly what it means. But
I don't know, but it happens.
Was he the one with the heating pad on, or is that Kling?
that was probably
That
clean.
was Paxton Kling probably during
But
the
I think
season.
that was when he had
so
the
did
little back
Joe
issue
Bear had
going
it
on.
too.
Yeah, I think Neil has a back thing also.
Oh,
Did you just make that up?
No.
Okay,
maybe.
I think Milazzo's the guy behind the dish. Obviously.
I just don't know when he starts sacrificing the defense for offense.
He's scratching across a couple hits.
He is.
So
but Travinsky's obviously shown you that he can leave at any time.
Yep, and Travinsky's gonna get more opportunities. He's gonna get more at bats, but you can't say Milazzo's been a complete liability in the lineup because he has been scratching across some hits.
Lloyd loves that saying. I don't really know that that's an actual thing for
What?
the catcher spot, sacrificing defense for offense. I think everyone knows
You'd rather have the defense
Your
back.
number one job as a catcher is to handle the pitch.
Well, that's what makes me talk about it.
Okay, so my point is, there's no when it comes to thinking about that position, there's no sacrificing offense for defense or defense for offense. Is who does the job number one as the best? That's probably who's going to get the start, right? And then now we have to find out how to work in the other guy who has other really good talents, who can do other good things, who can help the team.
Right.
I think that's how you go about it.
Yep.
There was some talk of Milazzo calling his own pitches. I don't know how that works with the wristband.
I would imagine
Do you
the
think
wristband's
that's
not
why
used
he's
if he is.
Yeah.
Do you think that
Who says that?
it was on the radio? The radio. It was on Jay Johnson's Monday.
Jay said it.
Yeah, they brought it up to him about Milazzo possibly calling his own pitches, and he was like, they have a good communication between Wes and Milazzo and the pitcher. It's like a triangle system. He goes, and the way that it was brought up because of how well Christian Little throwed it seemed like everybody was in sync. And he's like, I don't think Christian cared who was calling the pitches. If he gets in the groove like that, we're gonna do it the way that it is.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm wondering if he's crossing himself up a little bit behind the dish. If Milazzo is calling something and expecting something else.
No,
I don't know how you would call I don't know how the thing works.
It doesn't look like he crosses himself up. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like you can tell when you get crossed up.
Yeah, but I don't ever get the feeling that he's crossed up. People that
I
get
feel like
crossed
he's just
up,
stabbing at some balls.
Yeah,
He's-
but
that's
mean-
possible,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
crossed up is completely different.
yeah, you take one off the chest.
The guy, the catcher for Nichols got crossed up last night on a
Yeah.
pitch, and you could tell.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if the catcher got crossed up, he's gonna let the pitcher know he got crossed up. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be.
And it's usually a bad miss, not a stab at or
Yeah.
usually
Right.
literally like, what was that?
Yeah. But I think he's the guy moving forward behind the plate. I think defensively he's fine. Sometimes he gets a little stabby back there. Sometimes he gets a little jumpy, but the throw and catch thing is there, and he's obviously handled. The pitching staff threw great this weekend, and maybe some of that has to do with him. Who knows? But
Got 6-hold.
he did. It happens. He did. That's a play that he probably should have made.
I think he could tell you he should have made that.
probably
play.
would
Oh,
have
I
told you the same
have no
thing.
doubt.
But those things happen. It's baseball. You're not gonna be perfect. You'd like to be a little bit better
Throw your
and
dreams
tighter
in the dryer.
defensively. Huh?
Throw your dreams in the dryer.
I don't know what that means.
What's that
And
mean?
throw it away.
Why?
I don't know. It's just but somebody that said when I lived in Lafayette, he buckshotted and went to class. He had an 0.0 GPA. And
He told you to throw your dreams in the dryer?
he told himself to throw his
Oh, I
dreams in the
because
dryer.
he saw the lifestyle
Yeah.
you were living in that year. That's why he told you that.
that was him. You know how hard it is to go to class and still not have a GPA? Like, he actually tried and was like, I just think I'm just stupid.
I could see a scenario where you show up to class and have a 0 GPA. Just because you show up don't mean you're actually.
Well, then just don't show up.
But that's not true.
I enjoy
People
showing
have
up.
people have different agendas. Okay, when they go to class,
Right.
and a lot of it
Sometimes it's a social event for them.
yeah,
Networking.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And if that's where you are, then maybe the pen and paper really don't matter to you. Now, listen, I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm just saying I've seen
Different avenues in
both
life.
ends of the spectrum. That's all I'm saying.
Throw your dreams in the dryer.
I've never heard that, but okay, throw them in the
heard
dryer. But
You
yeah,
could
to
open
answer-
the dryer though, and like you could take your dream right back.
That's what I
Like,
mean.
don't
Yeah.
really
I
get
don't
that
think
one.
it's a trash can. It's not in a dumpster. It's
I was gonna
not.
say,
Nobody's
it's-
coming to pick it up. Like, I don't
It's
really
not
get that
over.
one.
You just had to put your dreams away for a second, wash them up, dry them up. Maybe you can go back
You
to
can
your
wash in
dream.
the dryer now.
Yeah, but yeah, you get them spinning.
It's an all-in-one.
Yeah, you give him a. I'm
It's an
just saying, you give him a
all-in-one.
little blank
You
slate.
just mean the washateria.
Yeah,
okay.
he's just giving himself a tease that I needed a beat. I put my dreams in the dryer. I'm gonna go focus on class, and he didn't focus on class, and then he took his dreams right back out the dryer, put them on. I think he meant to say jeans in the dryer. He also said, "Vagine hangs like sleeve of lizard" from Borat. He
Oh,
said
this
sleeve
guy
of
seems-
lizard.
You still hang out with him?
This
No.
guy seems like he's probably not the person that we should probably be taking quotes from.
No,
Okay.
he was a bartender at the pub
Okay.
and
Alright.
and DJ all in
Yeah,
one.
boom, there you go.
A lot of dreams.
Man
They
of
look like
many
you took them
hats.
out of the dryer.
Man
right
of many
there.
hats. But yeah, so I think the team's fine. I think like obviously this win's not panic button. This weekend's gonna be interesting though, and we're gonna talk about it tomorrow. Let's get to football.
Friday.
Friday, not tomorrow. Friday. Before we get to the next topic of conversation, what are you gonna say?
I feel like you're excited about some draft talk.
I am. I do. I like the draft. I do enjoy the NFL draft.
But why do we like the draft?
Because it's interesting to see. Like I enjoy football a lot. I am a Saints fan. I also love college football. So you watch these guys do their thing. They go through the combine. I like to see, where they get drafted. Like going through the draft process for me was pretty nerve-wracking, and I enjoy that. I just enjoy it. I enjoy it. Now it's long. I won't watch the whole thing every pick, but like I'm definitely gonna tune in.
I like watching it in the sense of because outside of probably just the quarterback position, I'd say football is the one sport where when you see the draft happen, somebody in that draft, a lot of people obviously, in that draft, the very next year is going to have a very significant part to do with whatever that team does.
Right.
Now, quarterback, they could still have that significant part. Usually doesn't result in a lot of winning. But, like, even basketball, some of these, like, the very couple of the lottery picks, like, there's 11 lottery picks. There might be 3 of them that are really
so
good.
Bad.
That are really good. But then the De'Aaron Foxes and all these guys take a couple years to actually start really coming on like that, right?
In baseball,
It's years, usually. Football's the one where it's like, hey, you heard him here, and that very next year, he's a star in the league. So, like, for me, it kind of gives you a glimpse of what you might actually see next year. So, I think that's how football's become so big.
Right. That's why I like it. And like the Saints
I love it, yeah.
Saints have a lot of picks. They have 8 picks for now. And so they're gonna have a big draft day. Like they're gonna have some movement. They're gonna be interesting. They're gonna be a talk of the draft. I think that they've kind of gained some confidence throughout the course of the offseason in the fan base and in the NFL world as like, hey, maybe they're not as far off as it was perceived that they were this past year, right? And so there's a lot of intrigue for me. There's a lot of interest in it, and so yeah, I am excited a little bit to talk. We haven't talked football in a minute. We talked baseball. It's been majority baseball, which is good. It's going to continue to be that way, but this is the one time I get the excuse to talk football, right? Before we get there, though, the Jay Johnson interviews, Jay Johnson Wednesdays. Jay Johnson interview is brought to you by our friends down at Heineken. Heineken Silver is their new product. They're bringing it out. It's in all the shelves. It's in all the grocery stores. It's in all the liquor stores. Go out and try it. It's their light beer.
Everyone's
95 calories, 4.5% alcohol. It's very, very easy to drink. Tastes really good. It's perfect for the summer months that are coming up. April showers turn
Bring
to May.
Heineken
no,
showers.
It's bring May flowers. That's right.
And if you tune in
And
Friday,
it's about
you might see Lloyd drink one.
Tune in Friday. You're going to see Lloyd. Listen,
I'm
what
excited.
happened this time? You took some Fridays off.
Bounce
No
back.
Dylan Cruz homer. You do it on Friday, 2 homers over the weekend.
And that's what makes me feel validated about our Friday.
Absolutely.
The proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely. So
That
you're going
means
to
you
see
can't
Lloyd.
take Fridays off.
Right, can't take them off. No days off.
That's simple.
You're going to see Lloyd chug a Heineken Silver on Friday. That's his Friday ritual. Dylan Cruz will be very happy. That means you get some booze cruise over the weekend. But Heineken Silver, 95 calories. It's their light beer. Go try it out. Again, it's summer. You're going to be out by the water, on the lake, at the beach, wherever you're at. Try putting some Heineken Silver down in your ice chest. You can drink it all day, baby.
And you can, even if you're trying to go to the beach, you're trying to cut Heineken Silver.
No
Still
doubt.
95 calories.
No doubt.
It's
Cut you
not-
one of them silvers.
All right.
Cut you one of them silvers.
You sound like Judas.
NFL
Cut
draft.
me off a couple of them 30 pieces of silver. Tell you whatever you want to know.
NFL draft
I'll kiss a
conversation.
man on the cheek for 30 pieces of silver.
I think he's gonna give us a whole movie.
Keep
if we
going.
let him
Keep
go.
going. Keep going.
He is risen. That's the sequel. It's coming out.
Saints have the 29th pick, right, in the draft. Mel Kiper thinks the top 4 quarterbacks should be taken, or the 4 quarterbacks should be taken with the top 4 picks. I don't think that's going to happen. Who knows? But you know why I like the draft this year? Because I don't think that there's just a lot of
There's a lot of
possibilities in the draft.
This feels
year.
like the most, in recent memory, the one with the
Yeah,
least
like there
amount
isn't
of predictability
there isn't
aside
a
from
there isn't a sure
Bryce.
there isn't a surefire quarterback. There isn't a surefire left tackle. There isn't a surefire DN. I mean, there is, but one's got questions. Like there isn't a surefire receiver. There isn't a surefire corner. Like there
Right.
not There's a lot of really good players,
Right.
but nobody that's been tabbed as the dude forever.
Right.
And
Which I like, because you can see some guys that maybe should have gotten drafted in the second round get drafted in the
you
middle
see
of the
some shit
first.
get shaken up too.
See some guys that maybe thought could get drafted in the first, get drafted in the middle of the second. Who knows? Saints have 8 picks, 4 now. I say that like that because that's what Mickey Loomis said today in an interview.
And
saying,
you quote,
and I quote, "We have 4 picks, 4 now," which leads me to believe that there's a very good possibility that they can trade up. Even if he didn't say that, there's a good possibility that they can trade up because they do it more than any team in the draft. Since he's been there, they've done it more than anybody in the draft, right? They have a system, they have a process, they go through the whole deal, they have a formula that's been publicized. I don't know what the formula is, but they have one, and they've done a really good job of drafting. I think they're going to go defensive tackle unless they trade up. Now, even if they trade up, they still may go defensive tackle. There's a few of them. I think that they're going to go after. I always say it's Kalijah Cansey. I think that's who they're going to go after. There's some talks about Tajay Spears getting drafted in the second round by the Saints. They need some help in the backfield. Alvin Kamara is, dealing with some things, going through some things.
true.
And even if he doesn't get suspended for long, it doesn't seem like he's going to be in New Orleans for that much longer, right?
Yeah,
He's getting older in
that's-
the running back world.
That's where I was kind of going. Like, I don't really. If they were to trade up and get up and up a little
in
further
there?
in the draft, I'm not exactly sure where they'll go. But I think at the back half or the back part of that first round and into that second round, I do think addressing the running back room is probably high on their priority list. And I think they're throwing out smoke screens more than they want people to know, because I think that they have that position targeted pretty high.
Yeah.
And
I
that would
agree.
be Bijan and Jamar Gibbs.
Bijan won't be there. I can promise you
He's
that.
Going top 10?
yeah.
That's crazy.
He's
to me.
going in the top 20. He won't be there by that point.
No. Yeah, he
If
won't
the
be.
Saints
No,
stay
I'm talking
put,
about if they trade up.
I don't think they trade up for running back.
I'm not sure they'll trade up, but I don't. No. The Saints are not. He's not in. He's off that board. Like, I don't think they have
They
any
like him.
chance. I think they love
But-
him. I just don't think that they would trade up to go get him. And I think you're looking at the Tajay Spears. I think they're not mentioning for a reason, but I think Jahmyr Gibbs is probably in play as well, even though he's a lot like Alvin and they kind of do the same stuff. But I guess you could run that model too. Like instead of thunder and lightning, let's just lightning and lightning it.
Right.
Could do it that way.
Right.
So you just never know. But I do think that they're smoke screening because I do think both of those guys are very high on their list.
As far as LSU prospects go, B.J. Ojulari is the only one that has a chance to get drafted in the first round. He's projected second round. He's a guy that we talked about. You don't know. He's a guy that could maybe sneak into the first round because of his production, his size, the ability to rush the passer. He's kind of that hybrid defensive end outside linebacker. It only takes one team to like you.
Yep.
Right? It only takes one. One team likes you, you draft them, get them an opportunity in the first round.
Can't play for all 32.
Can't play for all 30. Kayshawn was projected first rounder going into last season. Now he's a projected 4th to 5th, which I honestly, admittedly, I'm surprised that he's projected right there. I thought he was going to be projected a little lower.
I guess at some point talent wins out where you just look at the film and you're like, okay. But I think they clocked him.
But that's my other point. What film?
Here's what I'll say.
Freshman year.
From 2 years ago?
No, look, when it comes to him, here's what I will say. If you still feel that he is a supremely talented player that with over the past year or so was underperforming for whatever the reason was, I think once you get past the third, if you still view him as that, you kind of feel like we have a steal. We got a steal here that we can take.
Yeah.
Especially if we can surround him with the right people, we have a steal that we can take.
Right.
So I do think that that's probably the mindset on him.
It's got to be the right situation.
Absolutely.
And it honestly, to me, it can't be even.
And I'm not even sure what that situation is.
That's what I was trying to get to.
But I do think whoever it is has had to have done extensive homework on him trying to figure out would he fit here or would he not.
Because I don't feel like he's a Bill Belichick guy. He'd get cut. So it needs to be somebody.
I don't know if I believe that, man. I feel like everybody.
I just don't think he'd get with it like that.
But I feel like when you go there, if that is a place like that's where everyone goes to like straighten up.
Right, and I think it would be too early for him to do that. He needs to be kind of ingratiated into the league a little bit. It feels like kind of coddled.
So Coach, let me tell you this: if you go past the third and you don't do well on your first time around, there's no ingratiating.
Right,
you won't have a second chance.
Right,
like so that's not really a thing. You know what I'm saying?
I like Jay Ward he's projected 4th to 6th. I think it's a good spot for him. I like him a lot in the NFL.
I feel like that's somebody's steal right there.
I think he's going to transition very well into NFL. I think that he plays a very good hybrid role, like right system. Put him in there, let him play some nickel, let him do some things. Maybe put him at safety sometimes. Like
he'll have a Jalen Mills career in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. And Jalen Mills has a great career. Right, he's done really well.
Sneakily too, because it's crazy.
Because
he came in here as some huge prospect.
Al Woods. Great career too.
But I played against him in high school.
What do you mean? He's still playing.
Still playing, dude. Every time I see him on the field, I'm like,
here. He's still playing.
How are you still playing? Because like he came in 5-star, played. He was good in college, but like he didn't like light the world on fire. Maybe that's Jaquan Moore. Maybe he's that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he goes in. Now I think Al Woods a little bit bigger.
See, like, Al was one of them dudes that played at Al. Listen, Al was one of them dudes that played at a smaller high school where he was just bigger, stronger, and faster than everyone, and he had to learn how to play once he got here. But if you ever meet Al Woods and you stand next to him, you realize why he's been in the league for 10
plus. Just swallow up the inside.
Coach, it might take three humans to block that human.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
He is large.
But
we ran the toss offense against Al and just triple teamed him.
He better sit everybody at him.
Looking at like the prospects, right? The draft prospects from LSU. From what they did last year, I think it shows you even more of like how impressive of a job that Brian Kelly and those guys did last year at LSU, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you have 5 guys that are projected 6th round or higher. Then you have 2 guys who are projected 7th round to undrafted. If you're projected 7th round to undrafted, like, God bless you. God bless you. One more?
I never seen 3 times. I don't believe in luck.
But then you have a lot of guys that are undrafted, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7 guys that are projected to be undrafted in this draft. And to me, that just shows you that they were able to get the best out of the guys that they got, because some of these guys actually performed really well and actually did pretty well in the combine, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see if some of these guys move up and get picked, a little bit higher than they're projected to get picked. So I think it's a compliment to Brian Kelly and the staff.
Well, especially what Brian Kelly came into, right, with the depleted roster. He still has, I think, 5 roster spots that he can add to coming in from the Orgeron era, where everybody he had to convince people to come back. It's a little bit what Matt McMahon's going through with the basketball team whenever it's like, this thing is in shambles, and I had no clue. But what's wild to me, the stat that LSU won't have a top 5 pick for the first time since 2018.
Crazy.
Nobody projected the first top 5 picks in 5 years.
Yep.
And that's an LSU team that
won 10 games.
Yeah.
Won the West.
And so get ready for that streak to last very long. So I feel like somebody's probably going to go top 5 next year. I don't know who it is, but I certainly know who's going to be in 2025.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to have some – look, they're going to have a lot of guys. Like Malik Neighbors has a chance to be a first-rounder next year. Who knows what who knows who else, emerges, takes that next step from being a sophomore to a junior, draft eligible.
There's
Jaden Daniels has a chance, you know what I mean? He's the 8th best returning quarterback in college football. Maybe he takes that next leap in his career and he goes and gets drafted in the first round. So you have the ability and you have some potential and you have some guys that are there that have a chance to get drafted really high. So we shall see. I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm going to be watching it. And
are you going McAfee or full draft?
I'll probably go full draft.
I'm really interested to see. Obviously, it won't be day one, but what happens with Bernard Converse?
Yeah, me too.
He's had success in the past, right? He's been all Big 12. He had a good year last year.
Great pro day.
Unbelievable pro day. Played well in the Senior Bowl, was it? Mm-hmm. For someone who's still projected to go pretty low in the draft, be interesting to see where he goes and what kind of impact he has going forward.
Agreed.
I think he could be someone's steal.
No, I think that both of those guys you mentioned, Jay Ward, Converse, and I would even venture to say Mekhi Gardner, all make an NFL roster this year. They're not going to be. They may, if they go UDFA, I still think they make a roster.
Yeah.
I think Ali Gay has a chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously,
I think obviously B.J. Ojulari is going to be the first LSU guy off the board.
Yeah, he'll be the first guy.
And then I think Ali Gay, who showed out recently in some of the Senior Bowl tape and the combine stuff, where he's
got an 81-inch. You got an 81-inch wingspan.
He's got to be coached up.
You know what I mean? You just got to have an opportunity, and some of those guys.
Hey, he's no different than what Al Woods was.
Yeah.
Think of it that way.
Right.
Al wasn't a high pick. Al's still there.
Yep, no doubt.
If he's coached up correctly, you could see him still in the league 10 years from now because of what he physically possesses already.
Yep, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay, so projecting the freshman from last year.
What?
I'm thinking of LSU freshmen for the next time that they have legit first rounders. Josh Noel just wrote in the chat, or Josh Noel, either way. Emory Jones, Will Campbell, Perkins are all first round picks
in 2025.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm trying to think of who else.
And there could be more.
Yeah, right.
I
don't know who they are, but that's 3 off the top of the dome that go in the first round, no doubt.
In 2025, I think Malik can go 2024 first round.
Yep. Might see Brian Thomas go 2025 first round.
Depending on the next move for him, how he makes that adjustment and gets better. I'm trying to think defensively. 2025 is 2 years away, so some of these young guys, we don't have a lot of veteran guys defensively right now. We have a lot of guys that transferred in that we don't know yet.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be 2024.
Yeah,
I can see Mikhail go in first 3 rounds.
Yeah, Oregon State.
Mason Smith next year.
Yes, yeah. Mason Smith has a chance to go next year.
Depending on how healthy
if he responds from the injury, for sure. But like I said, this is
call Mason Taylor for 2025. They're stacked.
Yeah.
If they
BK says they need more depth. That's the issue.
Well, he added what? He has now 4 tight ends in the room.
Yeah, on that, but as a whole, as a team as a whole
squad.
Yeah, which is it's. I mean, you see the injuries happen in baseball right now. It's times a million in football. You know what I mean? So
That's got to be the one thing that keeps coaches up all night.
Just the depth chart.
Yeah, in the sense of like, hey, we could have literally an all-American team as the starters, but what if they get hurt? Where are we then? Because if you don't have depth, it's not.
But Kai Wingo saved your season last
It's
year.
gonna hurt you. Yeah, of course.
And that's not somebody you expect to play, 80% of the snaps that he played. And I will hand up, I was very bullish on him because every time that they talked about Mikie Wingo, they're like, he's number one in this, he's number one in that. Like all the catapult ratings that came out, the amount of effort that he put into practice was resulting into what you saw in the games, guys, a motor that doesn't quit. And for him to be, if you get Mikie Wingo and 80% of what Mason Smith seems like he could be, you have a tear on your in the front four. And then if you want to, however you want to use Harold Perkins, I think that's Lanyap. If he wants to be able to adjust and play in the middle and become the next level version of himself,
Yeah.
that's great. If it doesn't work out, you still have a first round edge rusher. So defense line ain't bad, but
Nope,
like you said,
not bad.
it's depth.
it's just depth. That's it. That's what they're working on building right now. But we have all spring and all summer to talk about that.
Where do you think the Saints go first pick?
I think they go DT. But here's my next question: do you think they trade up
I think they do trade up.
in the first round?
Yes.
I think they go O-line. I really
First
do.
round.
Again?
So you think they trade up to go O-line, or do you think they stay where they're at and get O-line?
I've never. When's the last time they
I
stayed
think they
pat?
trade up to go O-line. I do.
You have Andrews Pete.
I mean, I'm just thinking in the.
Ramczyk. You just drafted Penning last year.
Penning,
he didn't
yeah.
get to play. Played 2 snaps, got hurt on both of them.
Yeah, I mean, they do need another tackle because Ramczak's been beat up. You know what I mean? Pete's been beat up. And
And you just spent $45 million on a quarterback. Make a lot of sense to have him protected.
True. It's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Well, that's what's boring about the Saints draft. Last year was literally the most entertaining draft since the
You're going to have another one.
Kamara draft.
And you're going to have another one.
No, what bores you about the Saints is they usually always go find. It doesn't matter where the pick is, when the pick is. It's somebody you've never heard of. It's from a school you're trying to find on the map. It's one of those, and they usually turn out to be really good players. But that's their MO. That's what they like to do. You don't usually see high profile names.
That's what I'm
as
saying.
the
Last
guys
year
they
was the
go
first
for.
time you
Yeah.
saw in Olave, and you're like, that would make perfect sense.
Right.
Oh shit, they took him.
Right.
They actually did it.
They did it.
They did do it.
And Jarvis is still a free agent.
That doesn't surprise me. I'm not surprised. I would
Baltimore?
imagine. We'll see. I think teams are trying to shake out that roster and see where it's going. Look,
Yeah.
Jarvis, he hasn't been healthy the last few years, so
And
it
you don't
doesn't
have to-
surprise me that he's still out there.
He'd have to sign early to prove himself.
Yeah.
They know what they're going to get. If he's healthy, they know what you're going to get
Yeah.
from him. So, he's going to sign as a veteran guy somewhere else and be
when
that
he hasn't been healthy as it's been, unfortunately, and the way the numbers Odell was different because the last time you saw Odell, he was starring in the Super Bowl as probably going to be
MVP.
the MVP of that thing. The last couple times you've seen Jarvis has been not great production and hurt, right?
Right.
So they're going to play it as a let's fill these rosters and try to push his number down as much as they can. They know he still wants to play, but that's what they're probably going to do.
I would like to see the Saints running back one more time with both.
I'd like to
Jarvis.
see him get healthy wherever it is that he goes. I like to see him be healthy though.
I would too. How about this is not the draft, but Deion said he was going to clean house, didn't he?
But that house is
Boy, it's a
Vacant.
little bare.
Will
ain't,
Smith
ain't
meme.
much in that thing anymore.
What, 51 guys in the portal?
51.
And he ain't sweating it at all.
And there's a lot of rumors coming out and saying all this stuff. And look, I don't know how many. I don't think a lot of teams give you your practice film when you transfer. I just don't think that happens. I think they give you your game film. That's fine. Anybody can get that. But as far as practice film, that's the teams. They don't share that with anybody. You talked about it before the show. That's not something that you just give out as hey, go pub yourself because of what you did at practice.
I think the people that get practice film is the NFL teams that come in. They get a chance to see all of that, and I think that's how you get guys that either get drafted late or UDFA guys that they feel like is going to come in and compete for a spot. I think it's off of stuff like that.
My only pushback would be you see a lot of the LSU guys, like if you follow them on Instagram or Snapchat, whatever, like they're posting, they have their tape from practice. Like they have access to that, so I'd imagine it got cut off. Like they lost their login, and that's where like I didn't expect this to happen. Where'd my film go? It's like, well, that's property of Colorado.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happens.
Exactly how it happens.
Yeah.
Honestly,
You
because at this point
you
now
leave a job.
Yeah.
Your login to your computer of your work computer is no longer there.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Because at this point, they're all probably issued iPads that they can take home where they can look over game film.
Cut.
But now when it says, hey, can I have that iPad back? You don't have access to that
No.
anymore. I
That
think
iPad was never yours.
I think that's kind of how it goes.
Yep. You know what? Let's get to the seggies.
Which one you want first?
Doe's mistake of the day. It's your day. It's your mistake.
It's my day. It's my dose.
This is your a segment.
I love how he does that. You know which one's first.
Oh.
Give it to me.
Speaking of a little bit of things that can happen in odd baseball, we have a colorblind catcher in the minor leagues.
Is that confirmed?
Hey, it was one of the comments on Twitter, so I'm just gonna run with it.
I don't think that's
colorblind.
I don't think that's
because
confirmed.
colorblind, you don't see color. White,
No, explain it to me more.
white and black is not considered like you. That's what you see.
I'm colorblind.
I don't think it means you're colorblind if there's a white ball missing on a white line. I wouldn't really call that colorblind,
No.
but okay.
Game was moving too fast. He panicked. He lost his poise for a second. Hudson Valley, A-ball team of San Bay Rays used to be short season team. Hudson Valley used to have actually very good. They're very good team. Very good
here in the bottom.
program.
Greenville Drive.
1-0 is a smash into right field for a base hit. Going to send the runner Paulino around. Here's the throw to the plate, and it's dropped by the catcher Gomez.
Keep your eyes on the
RBI
pitcher.
single
He's not
for
very happy
Meyer.
about this
And
extra
now
inning.
here
This
comes
extra
another
run.
runner from third as the ball
Not very happy about this.
is
first
flying
base.
literally 2
Hey,
feet
God,
away
right
from the catcher.
God damn it.
Antonio Gomez.
Throw it away.
And he could not find it.
Not very happy about
Mydroff comes around to score to make it 2-0. Meyer moves to third. Tom, the ball was right on the line and was camouflaged.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He couldn't find it. I mean, aggressive
I mean, the ball
by
is
Iggy
literally
Suarez. You know he's going to send Paulino. If he catches that, he's got a chance to get him, but he didn't. It is sitting right there, and he cannot find it. He needs some help from
Look
his,
where the pitcher is, though. I mean,
his pitcher there.
That's
Why'd that guy go in head first there?
That's what I said.
And of
It was
course,
insane
making
move.
the read there was Myers.
He got hyped. That was the first inning. Got hyped in the first in minor league ball. I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah, Mikey was having a little self session during the.
No, you said let's pull them up. So you pull some up. Those weren't minor league though.
No.
And then I started seeing some of them. Yeah.
And then Mikey went on his own vendetta and started watching his own highlights, which I don't even know if people do that. I don't know.
People do that. I promise.
People do that.
I promise. I promise. It's 2 years now, coach.
What do you think
Working
I fall
on 2.
asleep to every night? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
2009 just on YouTube. Can't believe that Texas. I can't believe.
What do you think is at the top of my search bar? I'm just kidding.
Jared Mitchell.
Curtain calls brought to you by our friends down at Assured Partners.
And?
Me.
Okay.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Who you got?
Now I know it's early. We're still in April. It's pretty much essentially still the first month of the year, but I'm going to give some love to somebody who's been beat up.
Yep.
I'm talking beat up for the past 2 years. I think it had a lot to do with where he was. It wasn't very comfortable. I think it had a whole lot to do with this thing they like to call the shift, which is now pretty much banned. But I'm going to give some love to Joey Gallo, who just today, I think, finished a series against the Yankees where he hit his 6th and 7th homer of the season, where right now he's hitting about 260 or a little bit over 260 on the year with an 1,100 OPS. Back to the Joey Gallo that people knew him to be while he was in Texas. My curtain call is to him for being able to put it all back together and kind of get out of his own head and honestly kind of have the shift get out of his head as well. A little curtain call to Joey early on. I see you, brother. Keep doing your thing.
Shout out.
And if I'm not mistaken, was a LSU commit
Signee.
or signee at one
Yeah.
point.
So 100 off the mound and hit homers.
There you go. There you go.
And curtain call to the fan that traveled all that way to, was it the Twins? Is that where he is now?
Yeah, it was in
Minnesota.
I mean, the guy could live in Minnesota too. We don't know that.
And just be a Yankees fan, but
Possibly.
It's very
you
possible.
hear him from behind the dugout go, "Why couldn't you do that in the Bronx, Joey?" And it's just clear as day on the microphone, and Joey's like,
It's a good point. But I'm doing it now. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
All right, what you got?
My curtain call.
Short porch was too easy. He needed a little more.
It made
challenge.
makes so much sense for him to be there. My curtain call is to Todd Walker.
Okay.
He, as of today, was named to the 2023 SEC Baseball Legends class.
It's fitting.
I don't have to read out Todd Walker's stats and what he did for LSU, the Batman. But curtain call to Todd, and somebody we need to get on the show ASAP because he's excellent on the microphone. Just made a great transition. Great major league career that went under the radar.
12 years.
Cubby. And so
Boston.
hat tip.
Boston most noted to me.
Nice.
Won a World Series.
7 for the Cubs, coach.
Won a World Series.
Dead.
In Boston. Great dude. Is a pilot,
I mean,
too.
are you
Can
kidding
fly.
me?
Has
Is he really?
He has a pilot's license, yeah.
Oh.
My curtain call.
Who's the pitcher that had his pilot's license?
Roy, he's not with us anymore.
No.
Yeah, I mean, what? Come on.
I'm just saying, dangerous game.
My curtain call is to Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Butler, if you're not watching the NBA playoffs, I get it. I understand it. But they're really entertaining and they're really fun. The Heat are about to upset the number 1 seed Bucks, and it's because Jimmy Butler is doing Jimmy Butler things. When the playoffs happen, he ends up being
Jimmy Buckets.
different dude. And he dropped 50?
Playoff Jimmy, 56.
56.
On your head.
56 on your head, and they're about to close out the series. They're not just winning it, they're dominating the series for Milwaukee. So
They would be the
shut
first
up.
8 seed, I believe, to upset since the either Golden State or the Mavs, because the Mavs were an 8 seed and they won their first round game. I forget who they were matched up against. No,
Pelicans almost did it last year.
Pelicans almost did it last year, and then Golden State with Baron Davis and the We Believe team.
Oh yeah,
Whenever
yeah.
he lifted up his shirt
Yep.
against Utah.
Yep. But Jimmy Buckets, man, he's been doing it.
Jimmy G buckets.
Jimmy G Buckets
G is for gets.
gets buckets. He also had his high school yearbook. Says, you know how they have all those like the questions and stuff. He says one thing that he would never do is wear a Heat jersey.
Oh, well, he's doing that now.
He's doing it very well now.
Yep.
He also took the rearview mirror out of his car because he didn't like to think about the past.
There you go.
That's true.
I know. I don't know. Is it really true or is
Yeah,
it just
I've
what
heard
says?
it before, yeah.
That's a ticket.
Yep. That's the
If you
show,
go to-
folks.
But if you go to court,
Yeah.
you can fight that.
No doubt. Hey, this is why I do it.
This is why I do it.
It's not about the past. It's about what's in front of me.
Did you get it?
Your
fixed?
Honor?
Great show.
Great show, as always. Jay
No,
Johnson
Your Honor.
Wednesdays. Oh, Your Honor is a great show. Our show's kind of good.
It was okay.
Sometimes.
We've had better.
We've had better. But the beginning of it was great with Jay. You know, appreciate Jay coming on every Wednesdays. We'll be back live here in studio on Friday from 1 to 3 p.m., previewing the SEC, previewing the LSU games this weekend, the series. And yeah, we appreciate you watching our show. Like, subscribe, share it, tell a friend.
I said if we got over 100 likes, I'd give away $100. Didn't happen.
Did you say that? Didn't do it. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
If you can't watch us and you like to listen to us, we're anywhere you get your podcasts. And again, we appreciate the support, appreciate the love. We'll see you on Friday.
We also got into a debate in the chat while I was chatting, y'all were talking. What's considered career success? Because they were talking about Will Levis going top 10. And I was like, I wouldn't ever do that because I don't. And he was like, how do you define career success? He defined it as Matt Flynn being career success. Like, yeah, he was drafted in the 7th round.
Right.
If you take a quarterback in the top 10, that's a franchise quarterback.
Yes.
So if he has Matt Flynn's career,
would not be a success.
no. Matt Flynn had a good career for what Matt Flynn was given.
Right.
But if you're drafted guy in the top 10, and he plays 8 years for 8 different teams, I don't think you really nailed the pick.
No, you didn't hit the pick. Still a good career though for him. If you play in the NFL for that long,
it
but it's
becomes
not
personal versus the franchise.
Right. It's not. Doesn't live up to the
Top
hype
10
of.
billing.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree with you. All right. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the NFL drafts. We'll see you again on Friday. Again, appreciate the support. We love you. Peace.
Deuces.
Throw your dreams in the dryer.
Throw your dreams in the dryer.
That one didn't really hit the way you thought it would. I still don't know what the fuck that means.
I didn't come up with it. It's not mine.
I had a 0.0
Your GPA in class.
Which is probably why you probably shouldn't lean on this one.
But, shout out Adam Crotty. Best of luck to you, brother, whatever you're doing. He used to play third base in softball with a cigarette in his mouth.
Wow.
Stud.